Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you can hear me well. Welcome to another episode of Funky Marketing Podcast, or if you're listening to the live stream, welcome to the live stream. So, my name is Nemanja Živković. I'm your host. I'm the host of the Funky Marketing Podcast, and today we're going to talk about a topic which is very near and dear to me. We're going to talk about why does content execution in B2B fail. So extremely important topic, and the topic I don't see that many people talk about. So this is the topic I want to address, so you can see, hopefully you will recognize yourself in one of these things, and see why your content execution fails. But let me start with inviting you, if you're listening this, to subscribe to the Funky Marketing podcast. Find it on any platform that you use. It can be, I don't know, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or even YouTube. If it's LinkedIn, make sure to follow me, because you usually live stream the recording of the episodes. This one is the one I'm doing alone, and so I don't like to waste time. Allow me to just get my presentation, and let's get this party going. Yes, I have a presentation which is actually nice, and I will use it to kind of guide you through all of this. If you have any questions, make sure to ask them anytime. When I start presenting and talking about the things, I won't see the comments, but from time to time I will check to see if we have any comments, and make sure to answer all of your questions. So I did something which is really cool. I think people following this podcast would appreciate it. If you are just listening to the audio, you cannot see this, but I added funky motifs into the presentation. So like old tapes, you know, events, photos, all kind of things. So I think you will like it. It's cool. So why does content execution in B2B fails? If we think about the content in B2B, is actually the thing that gets people to start noticing you, right? It's the thing that helps you get the awareness. It helps you get the brand, and it's the thing that helps you sales. If you look at the platforms, basically the content gets you to the profile. If you talk about LinkedIn, so it's extremely important, and it's the cornerstone of many B2B strategies. But however, it's not just enough to produce content. Execution often fails short. It's not enough to have the strategy, it's knowing how to execute it. And today we're going to dive deeper into the most common reasons why B2B content execution fails, and we're going to explore some ways to overcome these challenges. So I think you're going to like it. And let's start from the number one reason why LinkedIn LinkedIn B2B content execution fails. It's lack of the strategy, right? If you don't have a strategy, usually it's a recipe for a failure, and it happens for a couple of the reason why we don't have the strategy. Usually there is no roadmap, and without the clear strategy, content creation becomes something which is, we just do it for the sake of doing. We don't know why are we doing this, how are we doing it, what are the steps. We don't have the direction, we don't know what we are measuring. And basically it leads to us being inconsistent. If we cannot see the big picture, we don't know exactly why are we doing what we are doing, right? And it leads to missed opportunities, and we cannot reach the right audience. We don't know which content resonates to the right audience, etc., etc. Another thing related to this, when we don't have the roadmap, basically we don't have the right goals. So they are not aligned with where we want to get. and content with should be created with a specific business goals. Do we want to get awareness? Do we want to become a brand? Do we want to deliver a personal brand? Maybe and be known for specific things. Like I've been posting about B2B marketing since I think 2019. 2019, now it's 2024. For 5 years talking only about this topic because I knew what I wanted to achieve. I wanted to achieve the situation when if somebody reaches out to me and came to me inbound, which is what content allows me. Basically, they say we ask 10 people who we should reach out when it comes to the B2B marketing, and they say Nemanja Živković. So yeah, that's what you want to achieve. But it can only be achieved when you know what your goal is. So without a defined strategy, including the goal, content may not align with your objections, and it obviously results in a wasted effort, missed opportunities, and no growth. And the third one is the one that I just mentioned, so missed opportunities. When you have a strategy, is basically acts as a guide. It's not a document that you leave in a drawer and never open. It should be something which is very direct, short, and practical. And it acts as a guide and helps you to identify the most effective channels, the most effective formats, and most effective topics for reaching your target audience. So without a strategy, you may miss some valuable insights and chances to engage and convert your potential customers. And if you miss those chances, basically you get to the unmeasurable results, right? A well-defined strategy usually includes specific metrics that can help you track the success or failure of your content, right? Without this, it's difficult to measure if your content is getting you closer to your goal or no, or it's not even near that. So you need to make sure to have the right roadmap, to have the goals which are the right ones for what you want to achieve. You want to make sure that you don't miss the opportunities that you have there, and you want to make sure that you have measurable results that you can follow. So all of that should be inside the strategy. And the strategy is your recipe to success, or a lack of strategy can be your recipe for failure. The second reason why B2B content marketing usually fails is the complexity of the whole B2B marketing, right? If you look at it, so first we need to align everything inside the company. We need to know who we are, what do we do, who are we targeting, what do we offer, how do we offer it, how do we differentiate, do we have like a point of view. So we need to have the strategic narrative, messaging, all of those things need to be defined, and we need to know exactly what we are doing before we come to the content, right? Content strategy is usually the strategy for most of the companies, but before that we need to nail the narrative, and we need to know who we are, what do we sell, how do we sell it, and how that is different from the others. Also, how much do we charge for it, right? When we know all these things, then we can go and we can start creating the content. And the first step is obviously the content creation. So when we know all these things that I just mentioned, so we basically have the foundation that is required to come up with the expertise, so we can actually write, design, or do some multimedia, whatever it is, the right type of content to produce for the target audience. At this moment, when we start creating content, we know probably that we can kind of go into the direction that we know, okay, what works best on the platform. We don't know what actually works best for our audience. Possibly we know a few things, but that comes out of talking to the customers, analyzing what do they do on social, who do you follow, what do they consume, and those kind of things. But we start creating with that in mind, and we don't have the proof from our own content if that works or not. So we first start creating the content, then we have the content optimization, right? We optimize it for the search engines, we optimize it for the social platforms, we optimize it for different communities. And we need to see which types of content, which topics really resonate with them. It's basically called it can be content market fit or it can be platform market fit. All depends what we are creating, but we need to see what out of this content actually works, and how do we present that content. Does video work best? Does written content work best? All depends. So when we know that, we can actually optimize the content and create better content. So the third step is usually the distribution. Where is our target audience located? Are they on social? Are they in small communities? Are they on search? Are they on YouTube? Are they on Twitter, LinkedIn? I don't know, anywhere else. We need to know where they are and how do we distribute the content the right way so they can consume it. Also, we need to know how are we actually using that content, the longer pieces of content, and how do we actually make smaller pieces out of it so we can distribute it further and it's easy for consumption. And the fourth step is usually analytics and measurement, when we know what we are tracking, be it on the platform, be it a search engine, be it anywhere else. We need to make sure that we are tracking quantitative and qualitative data. Quantitative is the data that we get from analytics on the platforms. We get that from the CRM. We get that from the G-Analytics, from Google Search Console, but also qualitative is the data that we get from the people reaching out to us, what they are saying on the sales calls. It's also the data that we get if we get the comments on social, but also the data that comes from people answering, how did you hear about us? Question on a website. So the whole complexity of that can be overwhelming for the people, and they might start overthinking it because usually they don't see the big picture. We mentioned they don't have the strategy, and it is something that can really stop them from doing and actually executing the things, especially if they are not the practitioners on a platform. That thing can really make them have this how do we call it, like fear of actually doing and going into it. Number three, and then we'll make a short break, is number three reason why B2B content marketing fails is resource constraint, which is a common obstacle. So we don't have enough resources for that. And our resources, it can mean a lot of things. It can mean time. Basically, content creation takes time, and B2B companies often, and especially marketing teams inside them, often have limited resources. So they need to get more result in a short period of time. And balancing content production with other responsibilities can always be challenging. So leading to delays and inconsistent publishing schedules. So like creating content is not the number one thing they do. That's not the most valuable usage of their time in that company, so they don't produce it anymore. I don't think that should be the reason, but that's how it usually is, and this is the situation. The way I see what marketing needs to do in B2B companies is facilitate the buyer journey and help the company show its unique value, aka differentiate. So the second constraint that we usually have are the skills. Do they have the right team inside the company? Do they have people who can write if they want to? If blog is the one thing that they want to get. Do they have somebody who can help them create videos? If videos are the one, do they have the subject matter expert that are good with video? On the other hand, so do they have a designer? Do they have somebody who knows how to read the analytics and can help them with that? So those are the things that we need to think of, and those are some of the things that we need to have if we want to actually to produce content. I always say one example, which is always a good one. It is if we can, if we want to go and use LinkedIn as a platform, and in B2B usually that's the go-to platform for the companies. You need to have to hire if you know that LinkedIn is going to be your go-to platform. So you need to hire for people who understand the value of it, understand of building the personal brand, of building their subject expertise. So if you tell them just go now and post on LinkedIn, create content, they will probably do it for a few weeks, maybe 2 months, but then they will say, I want to do it for myself, not for the owner, my boss, or whoever it is, and I'm going to stop doing it. The third resource that we're going to mention here is the funding. Right, content marketing requires investment, preferably in tools, in technology, and in personnel. So many companies struggle to secure the necessary funding from content creation, for content distribution, for content analytics. Usually, a lot of companies overthink that and they want to go, I want to have like this big content analytics tool that helps me measure everything. We want to have like 4 production studios so we can create the content, etc., etc. So start with something and then you will build it as you see that some of the results are coming and you optimize. So when you optimize and you know exactly what you are doing, it's easy to invest more money into that. So before we continue, let me see if we have any question. Make a break to actually drinking multivitamins today. We all need vitamins, especially when it's 40 degrees outside. It's madness out there. I hope it's better, wherever you are. If you have any question, feel free to drop them in the comments, and I'll make sure to answer all of them. But until then, let's continue. We have a lot more ground to cover. So misaligned expectations are one of the reasons that B2B content fails. So it requires patience, especially if you're doing it organically. Creating content requires patience. I usually say to the whoever it is I'm working with, like, if your sales cycle is like I don't know, 3 months long, and this is what it takes for the salesperson to close the deal, for content marketing to work organically, for content to work, it takes twice as much. So it takes 6 months. We can make it faster with advertising and making sure that the right people are consuming the content, but that's the reality, and you need to face it. Like content is something that helps you build the long term. So what are the expectations? Usually the expectations are quick wins. Companies often expect to get the quick wins from the content, and it can happen on LinkedIn in case you have the offline reputation, authority, you already have a stable business offline, and you just started with LinkedIn. And when you start producing content and becoming more visible, basically you will just get the results from those things that you build offline. So it can happen, but usually it's not happening. So you need to be ready to build for the long term. Content marketing is a long term strategy that takes time to build, because authority and trust are some things that can be built in a long run, not just in a month. We cannot build trust and authority in a month. And trust and authority are the two things that are extremely needed in today's world, especially in B2B when we are selling to the group of people, and most of decisions end up in no decision. So you need to make sure that they know who you are and how you can help them exactly, and why they should choose you over somebody else. So expecting immediate result can lead to, often the frustration and abandoning all the efforts. Another thing here that we're going to mention is consistent effort. So content marketing requires ongoing effort and investment. It's the same as LinkedIn. You need to be there persistently. Maybe not every day. I usually say every day, but you need to be there, and audience needs to know when they can find you over there. Or if you have a newsletter, they need to know exactly the day in a week when are you sending the newsletter. Those kind of things are important, and consistency is also extremely important. I know a lot of people who have started creating content on LinkedIn, uh, and they just disappeared. I'm there since 2019. A lot of people just disappear. They are probably still doing working, but they didn't make use of the platform as I did. So content marketing requires ongoing effort and investment, and companies must always remain committed to their content strategies over time for them to be able to see the significant results. And there's a third thing when we talk about misaligned expectations is strategic focus, right? Instead of focusing on the quick wins, companies should prioritize building a strong foundation for the long-term success. It requires focusing on quality content, on audience engagement, and on building the brand. Because brand is one thing that will help you win long term. And as you grow, as you start building the brand, as you get to the moment when you have the brand, your costs of getting new customers and holding the existing one will be lower. Start thinking about those things. And let's see what are two more reasons why quality why content fails. So bad content quality, it's usually a barrier to engagement, especially in today's world when we have ChatGPT, when we have different kind of things. Like having don't having the right quality of content can leads to content not working. And it is something that I see a lot. Like if you talk about SEO, if you talk about Google, companies just see, okay, we're going to pump up that type of content, and we're going to win. And then they start producing like 50 articles per month. I have nothing against 50 articles per month if they are written the right way and they are giving you results, not only in the short term, but also in the long term. So make sure to know that. And how can we avoid having, not having a quality content? For a couple of reasons. So we have lack of research, content that is not well researched or relevant to the target audience will just fail. They will fail to engage with it, they will fail to consume it, and they will fail to convert through that content. So you need to do extremely good research, talk to the customers. I usually like to ask them who they are following, what type of content are they consuming, how are they consuming it. Then I like to see, if they are following specific people. Then I go and look at what type of content are those people consuming. We need to do a lot of research. Then if we talk about Google, we need to do the great keyword strategy. We need to see what competitors are doing, if there's a gap over there or no. Those are all the things that we need to know so our content can actually work. Then we have unclear messaging. I told you what are we doing before we start creating content. We need to make sure that we have the foundation set up, because like complex problems comes from not solving the basic foundational things when it comes to the company. Messaging is one of those. Like content should clearly articulate the value proposition, and address the specific need in a market, specific need that your target audience has. If it's unclear, why should they react? They don't know if that's the right thing for them. Unengaging format is also one of the things that affects the success of the content. You know, is it something that they want to consume? Remember when we were talking about the complexity of content? One thing that I mentioned, we need to see what works and then optimize, then produce more content. So we first need to nail the foundation and see, do we have the content market fit and the platform market fit? Do we have the right content for the right audience on the right platform? Are they actually consuming it? Are they sharing it? Are they engaging with it? Are they reading it, watching videos, however it is? You need to, if you see those signals that they are working, then you know that you are on the right track. Usually companies just say, okay, we're going to go, we're going to produce content, and we're not going to do, we don't care what they say. It actually happens because like the people inside the company decide what is the good content. They don't ask the customers, and not me or whoever is the consultant working with a company, not even everybody in the company uh, is the right person to tell you that should be the customers. Then we have lack of call to action. A lot of companies stick to education. They give you relevant content, they give you examples, they give you testimonials, they give you a lot of stuff, but they don't ever tell you, buy, read this, consume, go to my profile, do the next section. You need to have the CTA, and it should be the right CTA which will lead to the audience to the next step, to get to the next step. That's it. Like you have content for different types of the audience in different stages of the buyer's journey. The task of each piece of content is to get audience to the next step, not to convert right away if they are not ready, not to schedule a call right away if they are not ready. It has a simple task to get them to the next step. So now you ask, but when they will be ready to buy? I don't know. It can be tomorrow, it can be in 2 years. All depends. So, but you need to know that. What do you think about my funky design? I think it's actually cool. Yeah, the name of the company is Funky Marketing, so we need to go with that. So then we have insufficient promotion, and it's something that I'm seeing a lot when it comes to the B2B companies. Especially the bigger ones that are here for a while. They produce content because it was, we're going to produce content for the SEO, and they produce content for the SEO. There is actually great content on their website. But the thing is, it's made for the search engines, not for the people to read it. And so it is shared maybe once on a company page, and like maybe the person who wrote it shared it. And it's seen by, I don't know, like 14 people, or let's say 40. But those are not the right people. Those are like the relatives of that person who shared it. Because on a company page, I'm sure nobody has seen it, because you probably didn't promote it. Like I'm talking especially about LinkedIn. LinkedIn said, I think I have this manual of theirs for the company pages from 2019, when they said like boost the most important posts. For example, you have 2 articles per month, 3 articles per month, or you have a PR stunt or promotion or anything, like boost that post so you make sure that the audience is actually consuming it. And this goes also for other types of content. If you are posting them on social, make sure that you support them with advertising so people can actually see them. Uh, Now you have like thought leadership ads when you can actually, even boost the post of some advisors you're working with or some influencers you hire or however it is. But, you need to promote your content on social, even organically, so people can actually see that and consume. For example, you wrote a great article, a great research for the companies, like 5,000 characters, 5,000 words, and basically, you just left it over there, so Google picks it up, and it's for the SEO. But you need to make sure that it gets distributed, right? You need to include links in it, do the interlinking on the website, include maybe the episodes of the podcast, maybe a newsletter, those kind of things. Also use email marketing and use your newsletter. Let's assume that you have um, a newsletter on your email where you distribute the important news. Use it to promote the articles, right? But don't just use the link, go to the website so you can read it. Give them something in their email so they are actually they become interested to go and read the rest of it. Also optimize your content. That's like a must for the search engines to import visibility and to get the organic traffic. So that's why I say you need to do the homework before you go, like content research, to see which stage in a buyer's journey is your content targeting, etc., etc. So do the on-site SEO as well. Always think, how do I get the right audience with my content, right? Also make sure to chop it up in smaller posts. So on social, not every platform wants to have like external links. Sure, they can work well if they are new, like you just publish the post and then you share it on LinkedIn. It can work if it's interesting enough, like you just share the article and you don't explain why are you sharing this, why is this important for somebody to read. Explain this, then you chop it up in smaller pieces, then you have a lot of posts that you can distribute to the personal channels. It works the same for the long form video content, right? I have the episode Google how to create a B2B marketing machine by Funky Marketing or by Nemanja Živković. Google that, you will find the resources and you will see visually or video or however you want to consume it. Okay, so before we get into the one more time for one more break, because I'm talking too much and I'm talking fast. Water is actually good for you. Okay, let's get back to our topic. So the reason number 6 why content in B2B fails is not adapting to the change. You need to be able to stay ahead of the curve. As I mentioned, a lot of companies have the great content on their website that nobody has ever seen because they learn to create the content for the search engines and then they promote it outside of it. They don't think of reusing that content. Next, when it comes to the topics, you need to cover the industry trends. You cannot stay trend agnostic when it comes to your content. You need to see what's working. For example, if you talk about LinkedIn, a lot of stuff is changing, and what works changes a lot. So you need to stay informed about emerging trend, such as, I don't know, the rise of AI powered content creation, voice search optimization, interactive content formats, different kind of things. You need to include that in the way you create content and which types of content are you actually producing. You need to be ahead of the platform updates. Usually I like to say to the people, if you are actually active consumer and actively consuming the platform and actively using the platforms, you will understand. If you are in the dirt, you will understand how is the big picture changing, how the platform is changing over time. With that knowledge, you need to make sure that you continually adapt content strategies to be aligned with all the platform updates and changes. Be it Google, be it social, be it the smaller communities that are controlled by somebody else. You need to know and understand the changes to be able to implement it and optimize your content strategy for that. The third thing is audience behavior, right? Make sure to see if your audience changes the way they are consuming the content, if they are following certain people, if they are sharing certain things, because it might change. The changes from B2C are coming to B2B, and they're more and more obvious, and you need to be able to be ahead of the curve and be ready for them when they come. Actually, if you are not ready now, if you aren't ready now for what's coming, it's not going to be good for you. So also technological advancement, you need to embrace the new technology and make sure to you know adapt to it and include all of that in the way you are creating the content. So those are all the things that you need to understand, um, all the reasons why your content is failing. It's a thing that there's so many reasons why it should fail, why it can fail, right? And let me go back and take you through all of these things. So we first had a lack of strategy. If you don't have a strategy, you don't have no roadmap, you have misaligned goals, you have missed opportunities, and you have unmeasurable results. So you need to make sure to see a big picture and have a good strategy in place. The second thing is the complexity of B2B content marketing. You need to make sure to know which steps you need to take to create great content. First set up everything inside your company before you start actually coming up with content, then create content, then see the feedback, get the feedback, optimize, distribute it in the right way, make sure that you are reusing the content, and then look at the analytics and measurement to actually see if your content is getting you closer to your desired results. Then we have lack of resources, so you maybe don't have time. You want to get the results fast. It's not how content works. You don't have the right skills in house. You don't have the right funding, so you don't have the right tools to help you with that. Those can all be the reasons why your content fails. But I always say, make sure that that you start small, see the results, optimize, then invest hardly in that. You don't need a huge production studio. You don't need so many types of content. Invest in one, see if it works, then you move forward with that. We have one of the reasons why your content is not working is misaligned expectations. So there's a need for patience. The C level, the board, the management, the investors usually want to see the quick wins. It's not what you can do with content. It works slowly. You need to have the consistent effort to be able to get it, and you need to have a strategic focus so it can actually happen. Um, the quality needs to be on a level when people understand it, people know how to engage with it. So you need to do your research before creating the content. You need to make sure that your messaging is clear. You need to make sure that your content format is engaging, and you need to make sure that you have the right calls to action to get your customers to the or people consuming your content to the next step. And you need to make sure that you are promoting your content the right way on social media, inside the small communities, through your email newsletters, through the SEO, by doing the right on-site optimization and targeting the right keyword. You need to make sure that you optimize that the right people are consuming your content. So you are not just creating content for the sake of creating content. And the last thing that we talked about, that we mentioned, is adapting to the changes and staying ahead of the curve. You need to follow the industry trends, see the platforms that you are targeting, how they are changing, what are the updates. You need to make sure to follow the audience behavior changes, but also you need to make sure that you're following technological advancement and how technology is changing content and the way we use it and consume it. Old school funky breaks, that's always the design that I'm going for. And at the end, I want to, I hope that was useful. I saw that nobody's talking about why our content fails, so I wanted to address those things, those six most important things why our content fails. I'm going to talk about and cover a lot of different topics, sometimes on myself, sometimes with the guests. So I want to invite you to subscribe to the Funky Marketing podcast. You can do it on any platform that you are consuming, where you are consuming content podcast. So it can be Apple Podcasts, it can be Spotify, it can be YouTube. Don't forget, I want to invite you to go find Nemanja Živković, find me if you're listening to this live on LinkedIn. Just go to my profile, scroll down into the feature section. You will see the link. Subscribe to the Funky Marketing with a bit of funk LinkedIn newsletter, where I'm sharing every week a lot of great insights and a lot of exciting, good topics to help you be better at what you do, to help your company get to the next level, or if you are a marketer, how to do a better job and actually get to the level that you want to get. That was all for this week, for this episode of Funky Marketing Podcast. So, as I always say, now it's time to go back to the beginning of the episode. Stop when you see something that you need to listen another time. And as I always say at the end, keep it funky, guys. Keep it funky.